If somebody asks me why we have so many fruit trees, I have to tell that one of the reasons is that my husband and I, we love to plant and grow and eat, preserve, give, and we do sell. We do sell our fresh raspberries, fresh figs, some plums and grapes and pears and some apples. And it's nice to make some money to put back into our garden.
Marissa's farm has always been one of my favorite places to go to. She and Paolo are so kind and generous there. When I was little, I used to even say, "This is the best place ever! Can we go here every day?" And it really is. Last year, one of my favorite memories was when Marissa let me climb a tree and pick fruits from the top.
I am from Croatia. I grew up just 10 kilometers from downtown Zagreb. That's 1 million people city, capital city of Croatia. Comparing to Nanaimo, I was sort of like living around Westwood Lake and being away about 10K from the downtown. I remember going to school when I was 6 years old, and it was always fun to walk about 2K from home to school through different orchards on my way to school and seeing different trees and being in the nature. As far as I remember as a kid, I loved reading. And I remember being able to read big book. For me, big book. First, my favorite book was Heidi. And besides reading, I always like being outside, climbing the trees, picking the cherries, going to the bush and try to find different things. Like we were picking wild strawberries and blackberries and like anything we can find it, we'll go and gather and bring it home. Later on, I was part of Scout organization, and in Croatia we had both boys and girls together. And through Scouts, again, I got connected to nature and travel. And later, when I was in my teens, I belonged to the group that we had chance to travel. And because I was growing up in Croatia, by that time was still Communist Party, they really encouraged young people to travel. And we had 75% of tickets to travel. If you have gather 5 friends and you go on the bus or on the train or on the ferry, you get 75% off. And as I said, as far as I remember, traveling was one of my other passions that I always love it. And again, when I was in my 20s, when I started working, I started hiking, and I began really intensive mountaineering almost, because I was up in the Alps in Italy and Slovenia and France, and I made lots of great friends, and I did explore many different places, and I just was hooked on hiking for many years. I have, when I grew up, my mom stayed at home. She was a stay-at-home mom making meals for all of us. My dad was working hard, working for a big factory and taking some extra odd jobs just to make as beautiful home as he could for all of us. I had younger sister and much younger brother. And we were lucky. We lived in the area that I had my auntie. That's actually, she was my grandma's sister, but I was really close to her, and she had 4 children. They were all sort of my age, and we were like almost 7 of us living in the same area, playing together and learning from each other. I was lucky growing up. First job that I got paid, I was only 15. I worked as a summer job in a big factory, just in an assembly line, cleaning some of these instruments and packing some stuff. But I loved working there because I made money that I could travel to Germany to visit my relatives. When I finished my high school, I started working for a big pharmaceutical company in the bookkeeping department. And again, I chose to start working rather than going to university because I want to have more freedom and more money for me to travel. I came to Canada in 1991. I was June 14th. I brought my best friend's son over to Nanaimo. She got married previously to somebody in Nanaimo. Her son was 12 years old, and she asked me to come over for holidays, pack my stuff, said goodbye to everybody with a plan to be back working after 4 weeks holidays. In meantime, 1991, the war started in former Yugoslavia. The borders were closed, and it was really strange and a hard way to understand what's going on. My friend brought Paolo over to her place to do some handy job. They had some issues on the house, and my husband is quite a handyman. And she introduced us, and I was curious. One first date was sort of going to see how the houses are built in Nanaimo with the wood construction and plywood and all kind of things. Second thing, she encouraged, my friend actually pushed Paolo to take me to Butcher Garden. And third time we saw each other was in his place. And when I saw where he lived, I thought, oh, I like it. This is so beautiful, because I sort of had a dream to live in a place with lots of fruit trees and berries, and had a view on the lake and a small rancher home. And somehow we start getting together, and as I said, we met in June, and August 3rd we already got married. We had a small ceremony here at home, and now it's 32 plus years, and I don't regret it. We had sometimes some issues, I think, like everybody who is married they have, but Paolo makes me happy with so many things, and I love my life in Nanaimo. When I was young, because I had amazing friends and I had safe and warm parents. In my 20s, I did lots of exploring and lots of hiking and traveling. In my 30s, I came to Canada, and for me it was learning new language, learning driving, learning how to drive, doing all kind of things, going to Toastmasters and starting new job in Canada, meeting new people, and was always exciting. In my 40s, I felt like I was really established, and I really loved my life in Nanaimo and exploring actually other places, not just Nanaimo. In my 50s, I sort of started slowing down in some way, and I was lucky enough to take early retirement and dedicate more time being home and help Paolo and learn from him and be with him and be in our... I was lucky when I came to Canada. I could hardly speak English, but I took some classes through the Multicultural Society, and at that time they had a program called sort of like a job training program, and I was learning English and some other skills like being a cashier and doing different things. And for some kind of job training, they sent me to the Heart and Stroke Foundation. At that time, I was like a one office room with 2 big typewriters and 1 couch and 2 desks. And person I met, Susan Carlson in Nanaimo, she was managing the office, and she was so taken how much I was willing to learn and how much I wanted to help in any way I could. And she really liked me as a person, and she said, even you don't speak English, but you can think and you're resourceful and you always have solutions. And she said, I'm trying to get you job, to get paid job. And that was 1993. That means only 2.5 years after coming to Canada, I was offered job in the office, and I loved it. I met many, many, many wonderful people that helped me learn. And I grew up sort of with the foundation, because I came before we had computers, and later on I had lots of great experiences with different people I worked with. And one of my highlights are that our office was twice one of the best offices from 10 different area offices in BC. Our office in Nanaimo that included Duncan to Port Hardy was one of the best in the British Columbia. And I really love working with people, and staff, co-workers, and volunteers. And I was there until 2016 when I chose to retire and do mostly family reasons. Paolo, my home in Cedar that I really wanted to spend more time, and I never regret it. I love being home and having freedom.
She gave me so many raspberries, and I don't have a freezer or anything. And so when I went to I got my vaccination, and the pharmacist is from, I forget what country he's from, but I asked him if he'd like these raspberries, and he was so delighted. He has 2 young boys, and oh, I'm sorry, I just can't remember what country he's from, but he was so thrilled.
That makes the point that
Immigrant helping an immigrant.
yes, but Marissa doesn't care what country they come from, what their age is.
No,
Exactly. She just gives and gives
Biggest heart.
and makes a bond. Marissa has more friends in the
She
Nanaimo
doesn't have
community.
this pharmacist, but I'm sure she'll find out what it is.
So she's an inspiration to us all.
She is, totally.
About friendship, that's one of I think the biggest asset and biggest success about my life, in my opinion, because I keep really good relationship with 2 people I met when I was 6 years old. We are like sisters. We are still in touch all the time. We know what's going on. We are always communicating. Later on, I had some friends through my work, through my hiking ages, and lots of them actually. And coming to Nanaimo, I became really good friend with my ESL teacher, and her name is Marina. She actually went twice to Croatia with me and meet my family and my friends there. And as I said, for me it's hard to say that I have a best friend. I always feel like I have 5 best friends, sometimes even more than 5.
She came from Croatia, married a man in Cedar, and I was working for the Central Vancouver Island Multicultural Society. I was their program coordinator and their head English teacher. So being a Gemini, I'm a little, bounce around. But Marissa came to the summer school, and so because she didn't really have any English, I sent her to a beginner's instructor. 3 days later, the instructor came to me and said, "You have to take Marica Benvin because she's so far ahead of my other students." And so I took her in, and right away, Marissa would start organizing me. She would get the papers done. She'd clean the board. She'd pass the papers around. She'd do all this stuff when she only spoke Croatian. And she's been organizing me ever since.
And everybody else.
Yes, and I love her for it. Yes, but she's been such an inspiration to other immigrants as well, because she showed over and over again how you can come to a country where she'd never been to Canada or just in Europe, so to be a role model for the immigrants that came so afraid and didn't have any language. She battled through it. She's a very good student. And then her garden became a tourist stop. All of us went, and then we brought our family, then we brought our friends. And you never go away from Marissa's without having had something from the garden. and ice cream. And yeah, and then of course she sends you home with fruit and veg, and so that's the summer. In the fall, after she gets caught up in putting the gardens to bed, she starts canning, making these. And as you can see, she gives these away in the wintertime. So the ones that know Marissa are very blessed because we get from her garden all year round. She has 2 acres. I have very little, but I don't have to worry. She's so generous with everyone.
I always love books and movies. I feel like movies are sort of like a complete art form, in my opinion, because it gives you the language, the sound, the pictures. And from childhood, I was amazed with movies. And usually my husband said, if it's a good movie, I have to cry, because I love true stories and I love what really happened. I love history. I love things about nature that people go through to extremes and accomplish many different things. But reading books, like we were lucky through schools that we had teachers and programs that we were reading books from everywhere. Like I remember as a child, I loved Jack London. Later on, I was reading books from Russia, like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, and books from Germany, and was all kind of books. And they always, I thought, when I was in my 20s, my mom passed away, and I remember people saying, "Oh, you should maybe take some medication to help you sleep." And I remember saying, "No, I just need books. I need books to take me away from whatever is going on, and they make me happy and they make me sad, but they just give me option of forgetting what's going on in my life." I love growing food and eating things that I grow and other people grow, because I remember even as a child going into garden and picking out the carrots, and at that time I would just wash it off, scrub it through my clothes and eat it even with the dirt on it. And I think that's good for immunity in some way. And as a child, you don't really remember or don't care too much about cleanliness. But for me, it's the taste, because I can't, some stuff, for example, tomatoes, I have hard time buying them because they don't have taste of real tomatoes. And that's the reason that the taste. And I think the other reason that I love growing my own things is sort of using it throughout the year, because I think I'm quite resourceful and sort of, I don't like things going to waste, and that's the reason that I do quite a bit canning and freezing and doing different things that we can use and eat healthy and better throughout the year. I love volunteering for the Port Theatre. I started over 20 years ago in 2002. At that time, I was still involved with the Toastmasters once a week, and I was part of the Multicultural Society for many, many years. And I sort of said to my husband, eventually, when I quit one thing, I'm going to do more Port Theatre, and that's what happened, and I really enjoyed that. Not just seeing the shows and being exposed to different things that I will maybe not go and buy tickets for it, but meeting different people, and I'm happy to make new friends there too, and just love the way how it's organized and give me options of arranging things that I know ahead of time what's going on. And as I said, I'm doing only 2-3 times a month, mostly because I still feel like I have lots of responsibility at home. But if I have more time, I'll do once a week or even twice a week. Eventually, maybe when I have more freedom or more time from the garden. And I think, like, one thing, the reason why I start all this stuff here in Canada too, because I was missing spring. I didn't see fruit trees here anywhere. you see maple blooming, but you don't see like an apple tree or cherry tree, only wild one, you know. Anyway, and my husband had maybe dozen fruit trees when I came, 1991, and he knows I love cherries. We have probably now 20 cherry trees around the place. We still don't have cherries because birds get them, but still, you know. And he met a couple of people that taught him how to do. His dad used to do some grafting too, but they were showing him some tricks and tools and stuff like that. And he started. 1996, he had quadruple bypass surgery in January. In April, he was digging and making holes to plant more trees. Yeah, anyway. But we sort of both like collecting different kind of like fruit. Doesn't matter which variety, like apple. Like one friend of mine, her grandson bought a 5-acre property in Jimenez, and my husband went with me to see what kind of fruit trees they have, and he was taking branches, and we just marked Jimenez apple. You know, we don't know what kind of they are, but anyway, and like we will go to we went to Salt Spring Island together to see apple festival. We like every time it's something to do with the gardening.
Marissa's farm is a wonderful place. Every single year, I look forward to the one day in the year that we're able to go there. Since I was little, it has always been one of my favorite days of the year. Marissa is so kind and sweet and always shows us around everywhere. My favorite part about the farm is the grapes because they taste delicious.
I love exploring Vancouver Island. I think we live in such a beautiful, beautiful place. Even yesterday I went for a walk in Himmer Park with my friend. And there's so many places, in not just Nanaimo, but everywhere on Vancouver Island. And that's the other things that I try to explore, and I'm happy to say that I visited all kind of places from Victoria to Port Hardy to Tofino and most of the Gulf Islands, and just love seeing nature and different places on Vancouver Island. For now, I think we have probably over 20 varieties between hazelnuts and walnuts, apples and pears, and all kind of grapes and raspberries and blueberries and so many. As I said, there's over 20 varieties, and probably we actually made a little bit of inventory of what we have in our place, and we found out that we probably have over 60 apple trees, over 50 plus variety grapes planted. And not just grapes, but we have like 6 or 8 varieties of grapes. And we have all kind of things, like our pomegranate, we have persimmon, that's sort of a young new plant that we have. We have quince trees, we have lots of figs. Yeah, the figs are probably one of our best producers. And I did actually dry some of them, and I use them and I give them away. And I make bake with them, I use them as a snacks. Yeah, it's nice. Here we have our dry plums. Again, I use them to boil and have them in baking. I have dry pears in here. This is made from quince. Quince are this fruit. They look a little bit ugly. They're hard, but they taste wonderful. And I actually make here quince jello. Here is our grapes that I just picked up a couple of days ago. And here we have a mini kiwi. It's actually, I don't know the exact name, but it's a kiwi that looks like a grape, and it's really thin skin, and when you open it is kiwi. Anyway, but as I said, we like growing and we like taking care of the fruit. We like harvesting, producing, making things from them. We sell some, we give some to friends, and that's sort of almost taking lots of our time, but we really enjoy it. And as people said, when you enjoy something, you don't feel like you're working on it.